Hi guys, and welcome to a coffee chat. I'm Dr. Boomer Brown with Doing Good at Work, and thank you for taking a few minutes of your time to make your life better. Well, over the last few weeks, we've been examining this question. We've been asking this question, who am I? And the model that we're giving you and the information that we're sharing will help you to manage who you are from an inside-out approach, not from an outside-in approach. There's lots of things in the world outside me that are trying to shape who I am. And if I allow that to happen, then my world takes a grip and has a grip on me. What I want to do is understand how I as an individual, how you as an individual can understand what's going on inside and work to make the inside better so we can get a grip on the world and we can direct our pathways forward through the world in alignment with what's happening on the inside of us. You know, the truth is mental health is about finding the alignment between the inside and the outside world. Now, to understand this and to possibly answer this question of who I am, I drew this model a few weeks ago. This is the model referred to as the trichotomous model of man. It means it has three parts. The first part is the body. Okay, this is how I relate to the physical world, usually through my five senses. This is the soul area, three parts, the mind, the will, and the emotions. And you are, a third part, a spiritual being. This makes up a human being. Now, we've been looking closer at the soul over the last few weeks. We've been talking about the mind, the will, and the emotions. There are three parts of the mind, three parts of the will, and guess what? There are three parts of emotions. Now, I've drawn these three circles over here, and I've labeled them. I've kind of abbreviated because the words I'm using today are long and hard to spell sometimes, and maybe there's not a room, and I want to do this quickly. So let me say this. The emotions are comprised of three parts. The first part we call SE, which is the subjective experience. When you experience anything, it's you experiencing, that's why it's subjective. Okay, and it's an experience. Something triggers you. You go into a room, there's a smell, and this is happening in conjunction with your mind. But you experience something which automatically kicks off your emotions, and the first part of the emotions that it kicks off is the physiological response. You have an autonomic nervous system. And in some cases, if you go from fight, flight, or you're fearful, or you're scared, or maybe you're joyful and happy, what happens in the autonomic system, the physiological response, is your heartbeat picks up. Your eyes, your iris in your eyes may get smaller, or you may start to sweat, or your tongue may feel thick, and your saliva might dry up, and your mouth might get dry, or you might get overstimulated. That's what's happening when you have a subjective experience emotionally, and from the autonomic nervous system, you automatically respond, and then you make a choice, and you have a behavioral response at that point. So you respond from a behavioral standpoint. Okay? So these are the three parts of the emotions, and they go together, and they work automatically inside you. Now, sometimes there is this feeling that you get when you're emotionally spent and you're done with any situation, and you feel it in your emotions. It's kind of like the gas gauge on your car. The gas tank gauge, it has an empty and a full sign, and your needle gets over on empty, and you feel it. And this is what's happening inside you from emotional response. Now, what I want to do for the last little section here, and I want to give you some homework, something that you can study and you can become better aware of this. I've given you a downloadable wheel. And on that wheel, you're going to find lots of emotions. But primarily, there are 8 basic emotions. There are basic emotions and there are complex emotions. I'll explain the difference between those two in just a moment. But the 8 are really 4 pairs, okay? You have joy and sadness. You have fear and you have anger. You have trust and distrust or disgust. And you also have surprise and anticipation. Those 4 pairs Those 8 emotional responses make up the 8 basic. Now, when you cross 2 or more of your emotions, you get more complex emotions. Now, when you look at the wheel, in the very center, you'll see some emotions. Those are very intense. The closer you move toward the center of the wheel, the more intense the basic emotion gets. So outside that center wheel, you're going to see those 8 words, okay? And that's where you start. As you combine them on the outside of the wheel, the flower, in between, you're going to see some more complex emotions. Well, this is just a way to look at your emotional makeup. Remember, emotions are subjective experiences, physiological responses, and behavioral responses. When this happens, we feel emoted. And many times people say, well, you just need to learn to control your emotions. Well, they do have some truth there. You know, you can use your mind and your will and your emotions to control your emotions. And next week, if you come back to a coffee chat, I'm going to tell you exactly how to train your emotions. Listen, thanks for stopping by this week. Pretty heavy section on emotion, but remember, we're all human. We're all in this together. If we can help you, please reach out to a mental health first responder through Doing Good at Work. Thanks, and as always, I'll see you next time on a coffee chat.